Okay, real talk. You've been asked this question at least once in your life. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Most people treat it like an unsolvable riddle, a loop with no obvious way out. But here's what they don't tell you. Science actually cracked this case. And the answer? It shows us how evolution really works. So buckle up. We're about to travel back 300 million years. Meet the chicken. Specifically, Gallus domesticus. This is the scientific name for the domesticated chicken you see on farms today. Now here's the key thing. Chickens haven't always existed. Chickens were domesticated from wild red junglefowl in Southeast Asia around 8,000 years ago. But red junglefowl aren't chickens. They're a different species, even though they look similar. And if we go back even further, way further, there were no birds at all, just reptiles. Scaly, cold-blooded reptiles that laid eggs on land. So here's the question that makes everything click. How do you go from not a chicken to chicken? The answer is evolution, but not the slow, gradual evolution you might picture. We're talking about something much more specific, and it happens in a single moment. Let me explain. Every living thing has DNA, a genetic instruction manual. When animals reproduce, they pass copies of their DNA to their offspring. But here's the crucial part. Those copies aren't perfect. Sometimes there are tiny mutations, random changes in the genetic code. Most mutations do nothing. Some are harmful, and very rarely, one changes everything. Now imagine two red junglefowl, let's call them proto-chickens, mating thousands of years ago. Their DNA combines in an egg, and in that egg, during DNA replication, a mutation happens, maybe several mutations. That egg hatches, and out comes a bird that's slightly different. Different enough that if we could test its DNA today, we'd classify it as Gallus domesticus, a chicken. The parents? Not chickens. The baby? Chicken. This is the answer. The egg came first. But this is where we need to get specific about what we mean by egg. Are we asking what came first, the chicken or the chicken egg? Or are we asking what came first, the chicken or the egg in general? These are very different questions with very different answers. Let's tackle the bigger question first. Eggs in general. Eggs, hard-shelled eggs laid on land, evolved around 312 million years ago. We know this from fossilized eggs found in Texas belonging to ancient reptiles. This was a huge evolutionary breakthrough. Before this, animals laid soft eggs in water, like fish and amphibians still do today. But hard-shelled eggs? Game changer. They could be laid on land, protected from drying out, packed with nutrients for the developing embryo. This innovation allowed animals to fully colonize land. Reptiles spread across the continents, and eventually, some of those reptiles evolved into dinosaurs. And yes, birds are literally living dinosaurs. Chickens are T-Rex's great. Add about 65 million greats, grandchildren. So eggs came first by hundreds of millions of years. Long before chickens, before birds, even before dinosaurs. But what about the chicken egg specifically? Here's where scientists actually disagree a bit, and it's fascinating. Some argue that an egg's identity is determined by the animal that laid it. So if a proto-chicken laid it, it's a proto-chicken egg, even if a chicken hatches from it. Others argue that an egg's identity is determined by what's inside it, the genetics, the DNA. So if a chicken is going to hatch from it, it's a chicken egg, even if a proto-chicken laid it. So, which is right? Most biologists side with the second view. Here's why. The embryo inside the egg has chicken DNA from the moment of fertilization. The shell is just protection. The living organism inside is genetically distinct. The same logic applies here. The first chicken egg was laid by a non-chicken, but contained a chicken. So the answer holds. The egg came first. But here's where this gets really mind-bending. The question, which came first, assumes there's a clear line between chicken and not chicken, a single moment where one species becomes another. But evolution doesn't actually work like that. Species don't change overnight. They shift gradually across thousands of generations. There's no single first chicken. It's more like a gradient, a slow fade from proto-chicken to chicken over countless eggs and births. That's evolution. No sharp boundaries, just gradual change. And yet, for the sake of our riddle, we can still say the egg came first. At some point in that gradient, an egg contained a chicken, even though the parent wasn't quite one yet. The breakthrough happened at fertilization. Inside the egg, when the DNA combined in a new way. Now let's zoom out for a second, because this chicken and egg thing, it reveals something universal about how life works. Every species that ever existed faced this same paradox. The first fish came from an egg-like structure laid by a not-quite fish. The first amphibian came from an egg laid by a not-quite amphibian. The first mammal developed in a womb of a not-quite mammal. This is the fundamental pattern of evolution. Offspring are always slightly different from their parents. Parents cannot change their own DNA, but mutations during reproduction create offspring with new traits. The parent provides the container, the egg, the womb, the seed. Evolution writes the change inside, but the innovation happens inside that container, when DNA recombines and mutates. This applies to humans too, by the way. Every single human who ever lived was once a single fertilized cell. Your DNA was formed the moment both parents' DNA combined, a unique combination that had never existed before and will never exist again. You were you from that first moment, even though you looked nothing like you do now. Just like that first chicken was a chicken from the moment its DNA formed inside an egg, even though it looked like any other bird embryo. Now let's address some common misconceptions about evolution that this chicken and egg question highlights. So first, let's be clear about what that first chicken actually looked like. A lot of people imagine a proto-chicken laying an egg and this completely different bird emerging, but that's not how it happened. That first chicken probably looked almost identical to its proto-chicken parents, maybe slightly different coloring, maybe a tiny variation in beak shape or feather pattern. The DNA crossed a threshold that scientists would use to classify it as a new species, but visually, you probably couldn't tell them apart standing side by side. Evolution works in microscopic steps, not giant leaps. It took thousands more generations after that first chicken for the species to look noticeably different from red jungle fowl. Here's another big misconception: the idea that animals evolve during their lifetime. A giraffe doesn't grow a longer neck by stretching for high leaves and then passes that longer neck to its babies. That's not how it works. What actually happens is that giraffes are born with natural variation in neck length. The ones with slightly longer necks might be able to reach more food, survive better, and have more offspring. Over many generations, the average neck length in the population increases. But the changes happen in the DNA that's passed to offspring, not in the parent's body during their lifetime. You could work out every single day of your life and build massive muscles, but you won't pass those bigger muscles to your children through your genes. And can we talk about how incredible eggs actually are? Because I don't think we give them enough credit. An eggshell has about 17,000 tiny pores. These let oxygen flow in and carbon dioxide flow out. The embryo inside can actually breathe through the shell. The shell itself is made of calcium carbonate crystals, arranged in a super specific way. It's incredibly strong for how thin it is. That's because of the curved shape distributing pressure evenly. Engineers study eggshells because the design is so efficient. Domes and arches in buildings use the same principle. Every single part of an egg has a function, and this entire system was refined over 312 million years of evolution. We consume about 1.4 trillion eggs per year globally. That's more than any other animal product except milk. So when we ask, what came first, the chicken or the egg? We're not just asking about the past, we're asking about the mechanism of evolution itself. And the answer is the egg. The egg always comes first.